It was just last year when Idaho lawmakers laid down the law on local governments, passing a law that cities could not regulate rent, rental fees, or deposits. Another law legislators aimed directly at Boise, who prior to 2024 had put a limit on application fees, and they didn't allow discrimination based on income when it came to rentals. However, rising rental costs don't seem to be slowing down anytime soon, which is why some lawmakers thought, well, rental application fees might be something to reconsider. And yesterday, Idaho senators decided there should be some limits on how property managers collect those fees. Aspen Shumpert breaks down the change of course on the Senate floor.
Idaho is now considered one of the least affordable housing markets in the United States. That means that getting into a rental is highly competitive and very challenging.
Senator Allison Robbie is trying to lessen the load on renters with Senate Bill 1042, which passed the Senate floor Wednesday.
In speaking with nonprofits from across the state of Idaho, abuse of rental application fees has cited as one of the biggest challenges that their clients, veterans, seniors, young people, single moms, are dealing with.
The bill aims to regulate rental application fees amid growing concerns by ensuring property owners are disclosing all rental requirements, like criminal history and credit scores, before an application is submitted. Property managers also wouldn't be allowed to accept application fees for any space not available within 60 days. The bill says an owner can only charge fees to 2 potential renters at a time and can't seek out other applicants unless one of those is denied.
They couldn't afford that $300 rent increase, so they tried to move. They applied to dozens of places. They told me over 20 places. They had paid over $1,000 in application fees and had not heard a single response back. By the time they got to the end of that month, they couldn't afford that $300 increase, but they had used up most of their savings paying application fees. So they got evicted.
Debate on the bill was divided between lawmakers who support protecting renters and those who argue this bill is government gone too far.
It's the government stepping into the private sector and telling private business owners who have invested their own time, their own labor, their own effort, their own money into running a business, how to run that business. It puts restrictions on those property owners, those landlords.
I don't think it's government's role to codify best practices. Best practices are what those in the industry do, what they establish among themselves, but that's a private sector concept. That's not a government sector concept.
I don't think it's restrictive, and I think it will help. I look at it as if my kids were going to apply for a rental somewhere, I wouldn't want them to be taken advantage of on some of these application fees.
I have had many people come to me with very, very sad stories about what they've been through trying to just secure a rental for their families. And I think this levels the playing field.
There are special provisions in this bill that cover waiting lists for affordable and senior housing. The bill does allow specially designated properties like those to collect an application fee from more than 2 potential renters if those details are disclosed. Now, the Senate Bill 1042 will head to the House for further conversations.
It's interesting watching this debate yesterday with Senator Foreman saying we have a legal system for this, that if you feel like you've been wronged when it comes to this, you can then go take them to court. But that's the thing. This bill is aimed at those that can't really afford to do those things. So it's to help them. And the other side of that was it was interesting to hear Senator Brian Lenny say, yeah, we regulate businesses all the time in this body, so this shouldn't be any different. So right.
Yeah, and when you're going through rental applications, there's not necessarily a contract yet. So
right.
There's not a lot to dispute at that time.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. Aspen?